Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome in. Just wanted to share an experience that I had, and it's related to like the transmission of love, right? So when you're in the space of love, love flows through you, and I was learning about this for a while, and I was like, I couldn't figure out what was going on, and so at first it would happen at little bits and pieces, and then it became this amazing flow of love energy that just came through me to another person. I was the experiencer and the observer of that was happening. So when you're in the space of love, you're able to uh, bring that love through you. But when you're cut off and disconnected from your true self, which is love, which is source, then of course you're not transmitting that. You're transmitting whatever's coming from you from where you are, which is either the detachment or the awareness of love, that you're with source, right? So it depends on where you are. And like I said before, you have the lack of, which some people call the darkness or emptiness, or the void, and then you have, of course, the light and the love and that stream. So you have the full stream of conscious where you are, and where you are is where you're cutting yourself off at, right? And so as I was on my journey, learning, and I still am, right? And it's evolving. And because Source and my guides and everybody has been working with me to help teach, and so I am learning from that perspective. When you're on, not in the human conscious anymore, and you shifted out of that into the awakening state, and you're on the path of moving forward, um, you have shifted from one conscious into another, and so you're able to see from both sides of that consciousness, right? So you're no longer in the state of the human form suffering. It's what the book says, the consequence of being human, right? That you take up, that you're choosing to be over source, right? So the experience that I want to talk about is, the transmission of love. And so that's really where I am. And so I notice when I myself see, like, I don't want to say injustice, but when I'm saying things that are not aligned with love, that is my indicator that I'm not in the right space. Because when you are of love, you see love, right? You don't see these other things that are going on. But as far as the experience that I had, so it was, and I'm going to share that with you. So I was actually walking down the street, right? And every day I was like getting into the space, practice every day, every morning, every morning. And so I was able to get into that space of just love. And as I'm in that space, like I was walking down the street, and um, I walked by this person, and I was just like in bliss, just enjoying my day, early morning, because I had started this practice every day that my mornings were mine, right? And so that's where a lot of my divine wisdom comes from, is early in the morning when my mind is fresh from coming back into the form. So I have the freshness of the morning, and before anything else comes in, I'm working on myself, doing my meditation, doing yoga, doing whatever it is, journaling, whatever it is that I need to get done, where I'm focusing on myself first, right? And so as I was working on this every day, you know what I mean? And I still do, and to the point where till I can, because my life has changed since then. But um, it was the ability for me to see how the transmission of love from source comes in. And as I said, it was kind of like a buildup, because I had noticed it in the past, like little bits and bits, and it was like this little energy coming from my heart, like it was just coming out, like, and I'm like, what is that energy, right? And it caught my eye because I'm intuitive, and I have the awareness, and I have the ability to recognize energy when it's flowing. And so, like, when I had interactions with people, like little bits of love would come out, right? And I'm like, what is going on here? And it was like I wasn't doing anything, and we don't have to do anything. We don't have to force love. We don't have to, because we are love, and we it's just what we're allowing ourselves to flow out by where we are on the stream of consciousness, if that makes sense. So if we're allowing ourselves to be in this space fully open to express ourselves, we're allowing love to flow in. When we're cutting ourselves off and being anything on the lower vibrations, we're cutting ourselves off from that space. So we're not allowing that to flow. And so as I was evolving and learning about, the teachings and things like that, from to where I am now, like it kind of evolved more. So I noticed it more regularly in frequency. And it really wasn't when I was doing anything. It was just automatically happening because I was in that space, right? And I wasn't restricting myself, and I wasn't allowing my judgment to be in the way of what was going on. So it was just there, right? And so a lot of us have cut ourselves off from, source, but also our intuitive abilities, our psychic abilities. So we don't notice this is actually happening, but it is. It's happening behind the scenes. So when you're in a space of alignment, this love generates through us into the world, right? So it had, as I said, was evolving over time, and little by little it would come out, and I would be like, what is that? Like, what's happening? And so I asked. And so eventually it got to a place where like this just full on stream, because it was like a day I was so much in bliss, and I didn't really understand what was going on. I'm like, are they stealing my energy? But it wasn't. It was like it was flowing through me because I was open, and it was like the gift of love that source was sharing, with this person, through me, right? Because I was the conduit, and I was in the space to allow that to actually happen. So when it was really in the fullness of it, what I experienced, and now that I understand it, I was in that space of bliss and love, and so I was allowing to flow through it, even though I wasn't aware of it. And I just happened to see this person, um, walking down the street, and they were sweeping, the sidewalk off. And they lived in this home that was in the town that I was living at the time. And they were, I guess it would be like Down syndrome that they had. I don't really know what it was, but they were still, able to, function. But you could tell that they were living in the home. And as I walked by, I heard this, like with the intuitive hearing, I like that person. And I was like, okay. And then, because I was having dialogue with this person, and they were very friendly, they were open. And I'm like, is that coming from them, or is that coming from source? Where's that? It wasn't coming from me. And I'm like, okay. So it was really interesting to see that happen. And then the next thing I know, it was like this very overwhelming emotional thing of love that just came out and went to them from me. And I was so overwhelmed with like emotion of love that it wasn't the love that I found that I had felt from the angel, from my spiritual awakening, or the going home love. It was a different love to only what I can feel as a human coming through me to them. And as they were sweeping, I just happened to be walking by. I didn't even know them. And I forget what they were saying. They were saying something about I'm sweeping. They were so much in joy because we were actually, obviously, they were in their bliss because they were sweeping, and he was having so much fun, and he was just like, I'm sweeping the ground and cleaning. And so he was in his bliss, I was in my bliss, and so we were a match. And so when that happens, this love just flows through, right? Because we're in that space, and so it was allowed to happen, if you will. And so as that's happening, I'm observing intuitively, telepathically, right? Because that's our true nature, that's our true speech, our communication, not the verbal, right? In human, it's verbal, but in spirit, it's telepathic, right? So as it's flowing through, and I'm observing it. He's all in his bliss, and he's talking to me, and he's just having fun. He's in bliss, and I'm in bliss. I'm doing my thing, raising my vibration, listening to positive things on my phone, things like that. And so when we came together, it was like I heard this voice, and it sounded masculine. So for me, it would be him saying, I like that person. And as soon as that happened, like this love just flowed like through me to them. And I became overwhelming emotional with the love that was flowing through, and tears were just flowing down my face. I couldn't even stop. It was like a waterfall. It was like so amazing. And I couldn't turn it off, and so what I heard from him, because it was the same voice, was like, I've never felt love like that, right? And that was like intense, and so it was like this interchanging, interactive um, energy and vibration of love that flows through you when you can be in that space, right? And so that was one of my teachings from Source and my guides and things like that was, when I was able to get into that space, that's able to happen, right? And it does happen every day, but a lot of people are so shut off and cut, down, that they don't realize that that happens, when you cut yourself off from your intuitive abilities, your awareness, um, what's really going on behind the scene other than our human form, right? Because there's things that take place that we're not aware of, right? And so we do have and make an effect on people in our lives, right? So every day when you're in that space of alignment, being happy, blissful, sharing joy, bringing love, you're doing so much more than you know what is what we're currently going on in our perception, right? So when somebody's down, or you interact with them, there's things that are happening, from the heart that goes to them, so even smiling at somebody, saying hi, opening a door, helping them out, pick something up that maybe somebody drops, or help them carry something, these are things that you know help bring the energy. It's not just in the actions of doing, but it's the energy that you're doing and bringing that helps people, lift them up, right? And bring them joy and happiness and hope, in their lives if they're suffering, right? Because we never know. And so how you show up does matter in life. So it was a great experience for me to see the love that like comes from you, in your experiences and interactions of the world. So, and just as you can do that when you're in the space of love, or higher vibration, you're allowing love to flow through. Just as you are in that space, when you're in the negative, you're doing the negative, right? Which is not really negative and bad, but negative that is the lack of love, right? So it's from where you are in that space, in that moment that you're putting out into the world, that you're creating not only the experience for yourself, but for others to deal with. And I do my best to show up every day, even when I'm working, because I still work a job, but which I'm shifting out of. But even in that, when I do my best to stay in the space of love, and I'm interacting with people on the phone, and so they're not always in a space of love, right? So, um, it's working on that and being able to, stay in your own energy and space of love, even if those you're interacting with may not be. But again, I wanted to share that experience because what and how you do and how you show up in the world makes a big difference, and so the more you can practice being, in the higher vibrations, the more that you're able to give to the world. And that is through, just being in a good, energy, vibration, happiness, joy, and finding what that is for you, how you get into that space, right? Because if we're always around things that don't make us happy, then it's kind of restricting, so we're not allowing the love to flow through. But again, when I had that experience, I kind of was like, oh, I get it. At first I really didn't understand like what was happening, but now that I've evolved and I'm looking back at it and I have the more knowledge now that I understand, it was actually a teaching for me to that source was sharing with me. When I'm in a high vibration, love just flows through me, right? And people can feel that. And so in this experience, I heard from him saying, I've never felt that type of love before. And so for me, that's showing like, and I know from being here and from being at home in my death experience, um, or out of body, um, like I know that love isn't existing here. So it would have to flow through us without us being in the way. So we have to take ourselves out of the picture in order for it to flow through. But we've lost a lot of the connection. But trying to get back to there, where we can bring in the love, and that's where we create our own kingdom here on Earth, right? And so we're bringing the love of Source here to us, through us, into the world. And so we're creating a new world within ourselves and the worlds that we interact with in outside of us, right? So yeah, that was a really cool experience. And when I'm interacting, and I notice that when I'm on the phone with people, and it's hard, it's not, I don't want to say hard, but it's like when we're ending the call, because even just being in that space with my sessions and the people, and it's like I feel like when it's just flowing, when we're having these interactions with people, um, like when we come to cut the call off, or we stop talking, or we end the session, or whatever it is I'm doing, um, it's kind of hard. It's almost like this ending, this separation that's happening. It's like cutting off, of that energy. And so that's not always easy, because I feel like the people are always wanting to keep it going, keep it going. And I'm like, why is this keep going? I'm trying to end this call, or this session, with people, because I have another one coming up. But I can see like where this resistance to, stop talking and interacting is happening. And I'm like, okay, so but we have to end this, we can't do this like forever. And so whenever I'm having these interactions, like I can like see these things going on, during these interactions. And it's like when we are in our space of awareness, right, that we can start become aware of these things. So do some practice with it, raise your vibration and start interacting with people, and have the experience, and see how it is for you, because you're going to start having this awareness that there's more going on beyond than what we're actually seeing, right, and what we're experiencing. um, and it's just amazing to see, all the teachings and everything that's coming to me, since I've had my awakening, and I've kind of shifted out of the human reality, at per se. Not that I'm fully out of it, but every now and then I have to still do my own self work. But when I'm in this space where you're not fully engulfed into, the human perception, and you're kind of outside, because you have the human perception, and then you have the one who's looking from this perspective to the human's perspective, and then you have Source perspective. It's like there's these different levels of consciousness that's aware and viewing from your space. It's not just you, right? There's a different consciousness going on at the same time. And so you're not only the player in the play, which is life, but you're the observer of life, and you're also Source. So you have these different consciousnesses going on at one time. But and and that's the way life is. It's not just your human form, your human consciousness that's going on here, but we believe it when we are that. It's our ego, our identity, that creates the suffering, and thinking the illusion of being separate from itself, right? So that's the delusion, um, of who you are, that you think you are, but you're not. Because if you think about it, when you're done in this lifetime and you move on, it's all over, it's done, you're not in this space anymore, right? And so we want to try to keep remembering that, this is only temporary, this is only, in the present moment of where I am, and try to live from that space of love and presence, and versus from the human consciousness, and allow that to shift to being, the observer of life, but still enjoying in life and participating through that perception. You don't have to be human to participate in life. You can be from a higher consciousness and still participate in life. You don't have to still carry your DNA from structures, of the past, from who you've been, or where you've been, or your parents, a lineage, things like that. You can be consciousness in your present moment of who you are as a person, and still seeing from life and participating in life in that way. You don't have to like end your life to not be that. You can do it here in the moment, in the present moment, and be from a space of love, which is higher consciousness. And it's just the practice of being fully open to source, which is love, and allowing that to just flow through you, and how you show up in the world does matter. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions, or want to do a session, and I thought about doing a love transmission on one of my videos. And so, even now in my videos, if you're paying attention and aware, sometimes you might feel, the love actually coming through as I'm talking and speaking, and transmitting this information for you, because it comes through me. A lot of this information that I have is through my teachings from source, higher conscious, my angels, guides, things like that. And so through that, the transmission comes. So if you're open to receiving, or you know being present in the moment, you would be able to feel, acknowledge that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that little experience. Like I said, I have a lot of different experiences and teachers that have come to me, through different ways. And because, of course, source is not in human form, so there's no actual real teacher that we're going to see. Like when we go to school, there's no teacher that is going to be present before us. It's energy, it's intelligence. And so teachings come through other things that are formed to help us understand. So there's no God that's going to come and stand before you like a lot of religions and things preach, right? So you want to kind of put that aside, so that you can receive the teachings and the knowledge that you're meant to receive, from where you are on your path, and just allow that to happen and it'll come through for you. So that way, you're also on the path, of where you're supposed to be, right? Because everybody's at a different place, right? But just know that you're not going to have some teacher come and teach to you that source. It comes through other ways of form and being and presence, and so you'll receive it that way, which is how I'm receiving it. And it's just being open and aware of that, basically, and tuning into your own intuition and guidance, and sitting in silence, meditating, doing yoga, creating this space of presence, right? And then you'll be able to pick up on what I'm saying here. But yeah, that was and it's something that I will hold with myself, because I can always refer back to that, and it's like a reminder for myself, that teaching from source and my guides, that I can be in that space of love and transmits. And again, I'm not really doing it, it's just flowing, it's allowing. Because when you're trying to do it, you're giving a different kind of love, which is from you, not source. Now there's two different ways of doing that. When you're just fully open and you're not have no attachments to the love, you're allowing it to just fully flow through you, and you're not doing anything, right? But when you're giving love, because like, oh, how you have love for your kids or your family or this person or that it's a different kind of love, right? There's all different kinds of love, right? But the one that flows through you when you are fully open and allowing source to flow through you is the highest love that there is, right? So everything else is underneath that. There's different forms of love, right? And even in like my parents, and they weren't the most kind parents and loving parents, but even in their unkind and unloving, it was a form of love that they knew how to give. So in that way, it is kind of a love, but it's kind of a love from the lack of source love, right? So there's different types of love, right? But to fully be in the and embrace the love that flows through, which is fully open to source, is the one that's allowing, and you stepping away from it and you just being present in the moments of allowing that. And so that's what source love is. That's the one, and I'm getting chills, and that's just the one that just flows through you and allowing the love to be, right? And so when you're allowed, allow yourself to be fully open, allowing your chest to flow through and to be just letting go, of all your reasons why you love and how you love and what and who you love, and I like this and I like that. When you're allowing that to be not a part of it and just love unconditionally and be present, then you're allowing source love, right? Because we do allow a lot of things to get in our way. I love this, I like this, I don't like this, I hate this, and blah blah blah, and that's the restriction of it, and you're only allowing so much of it to flow through you, and it's only coming from a certain place. It's not the fullness that has no judgment attached to it. So I just wanted to, again, just sharing that, and practice that, research it, dive into it, experience it, have fun with it, use it as part of your journey, your awakening, the path, and if it resonates with you, then it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's okay. But I'm here to share these experiences because I've been guided to go ahead and share my experiences. And um, yeah, that's pretty much about that I'm getting to really speak about. But again, if you wanted to do a session and find ways, we can talk about finding ways for you to actually get in that space so you can start having that experience, and so you can see for yourself, and um, book a session, and if you want to share any of your experiences, about fully being open, having love flow through you in your space of being, drop them down below in the comments. And then just remember, all comments are welcome. However, just be mindful about how you're putting them, so that way, everybody can interact and be from a place of positive energy. And of course, they do have guidelines of what you're speaking and how you're saying it, so definitely keep it on a positive way. Do share your comments or thoughts and things like that, or any experiences you have, but just be mindful in how you do that. That's all I ask. All right, thank you. Have a great day. Happy journeys.